So that's the Reptile RS. Doesn't like inverted.
Howdy, it's Matt, and it's Maiden Day for the LTE Rambler RS. Now, rather than being one of those boring reviewers and just going off and sticking a Sunny Sky motor in it, loading it up with iNav, and then flying it around and going, ooh, isn't it great? No, I kind of half knew that we might take it to the slope sooner or later, or I've got to be honest, I did put a crazy ass motor on the back of it and I was going to absolutely smash it around the sky. But a slope day came up today and you'll see that here I am at Middle Hope, just outside of Bristol, halfway between Weston-super-Mare and Clevedon here in the UK. As you can see, the first launch went really well and Simon offered to lob it. Now, perhaps I should have asked Simon to lob it in the first place. So he's going to lob it for us in a moment. And you can, I don't know if you can work out how windy it is. Those of you which have never slope soared, the if you've never slope soared before, the simple premise is that wind hits hill and blows your model up into the sky. It did go straight down for some reason, and I'm not entirely sure. However, you'll see third time lucky, absolutely sends it, and it goes off. Now, a very simple summary of the flight characteristics is it's not a very good slope model. No surprise there. Absolutely awful. I mean, awful inverted. I don't know if you saw it there on the launch, but I was running full rates on this model, and the amount of deflection is about an inch up and down, and I was still struggling trying to hold this model inverted. However, given its flight characteristics, something which should be light and floaty and flown very long distances, it actually did surprisingly well, and I fly it on the slope for a good 6 minutes or more, and I was genuinely impressed on how well it did considering its credentials for slope soaring. It was never, I cannot think for one moment that the designer ever thought somebody would be so much of a tool to just go and lob it off a slope and fly it. The rolls were quite axial. I wouldn't say they were perfect. I've had far superior models on the slope, no big surprise there, but it did perform pretty well. There was a bit of nose hunting. Now that is where if you put your hand out in front of you and then just move your wrist side to side, and you can imagine the model moving side to side, it was hunting a bit. Now the CG was exactly on their mark, so I think it could do with being just a tiny, and I genuinely mean this, like 2 mils in front of their suggested CG to help it behave a little bit. And besides that, it was genuinely good fun. Like I said, the only bad behaviour it had was that it just wouldn't fly inverted, even with full downstick. Is that I was still losing height in the sky, which is no big surprise. Remember, this model has almost identical wing chord to the Dart, or the original Dart XL, and that was my major disappointment with the Dart XL, is that it just had so much up trim built into the wing section itself. It made flying it anything, unless you flew in exactly one speed envelope, the model was very, very boring. However, you've got to give it its due. You'll see me here chucking it around the sky like an absolute hooligan, and genuinely enjoying it. And the other thing which I was really surprised about is that on the front of the model, I'll stick a photo on the screen, is that on the very front of the model is a huge, great big grille. The amount of air which must get blown in through the centre of the model is absolutely obscene, and actually something which I intend blocking up in my model for later uses, is that it still did ridiculously well as too. Now, a comment which I had from a pilot is that they were commenting about me putting that little servo control horn on the top to hold the front lid down. They'd actually experienced in a big dive, when they'd done a big dive with the LTE Rambler, the amount of air going through had actually blown the lid off. So those of you which actually, there's me inverted, and it was not like him being inverted very well. If you Look, there we go. You'll see I'm holding it, but it sinking, and there was so much lift there that day. Other models were fine inverted. This one was just not having it, and like I said, no big surprise based upon the wing chord itself. It's not a model which is meant to be slope soared. Hence why this video amuses me immensely, if I'm perfectly honest, because it actually did really well. And this is why I'm being as fair as possible to this model, because it did do so well considering the conditions and considering what it was designed for. And what I'm doing with it are two very, very different things. Anyway, getting back to the front hatch, I will put a photo up on your screen of the little hatch mod which I made, because they do have the GPS power lines, hole for the power for the GPS in the wrong place. So I literally get these two antennas which come in the box, chopped off a bit of that, took an old servo control horn, screwed it in, and then just used some hot glue to hold it in place, and that basically ensures that the lid does not blow off. And I'm kind of glad that I did that. Although a lot of the lift is coming from underneath the model, there's still an obscene amount of air going through the nose, and again, something which I do intend restricting on that model. But the front grille, one of the two, spitting words out, of the things which I really like about this model is that grille mesh which they've got on the back, the top, and the front of the model. Really like that. I've not seen that, and how Andy launched that model, I have no idea. And number two, the other thing which I like is the battery bay. It's absolutely huge. You will be able to get an enormous range of batteries into this model, and a flight controller, etc, etc. So with that said, now the Maiden is out of the way, I need to go and pillage a 1250 kV motor off another model here, and I am going to go and get mine set up with iNav and get it out, get it tuned in, and get it flying for Monday, which is in 2 days time. So it should be pretty straightforward, and now that I know that it does fly well, I'm happy to commit those kind of level of components and the time to the model, because it did excel itself. Someone's just landed off to our left hand side. Is the point which I'm trying to make, it did so well in a scenario which it shouldn't have done so well in. I'm genuinely impressed with that, and I'm now really super happy to go on, stick iNav in it, stick some Li-ion batteries or big 5200 packs in there, and get it out and just go and really enjoy that flight airframe, if that makes sense. Anyway, we've got the landing coming up. I'm going to jump to us on the flight line. Give you a warning, it's going to get loud. Oh, and with that said, for myself, Matt, I want to say just a big thank you to you for taking the time to join me here on the slope with the LTE Rambler RS, and you've got to give it its due. It really surpassed my expectations on what it was going to do on this day in these kind of circumstances. So yeah.
Landed. Please, I got that on film. So that's the Reptile RS. Doesn't like inverted.